We're
Come on
live.
in. We're live?
I'm in here, buddy. Yes, sir.
Live at 7. That's it. Live at 7 p.m. Today's bite, Crappie Connection. Brad Chapel here. I got my sidekick, my
Yeah,
Tuesday night
Dust Dash.
partner.
Dust
Wham,
Dash.
thank you,
Well,
man. That's
usually it's Dust Dash, but lately I got the dad neck beard going on, just
uh-huh.
barely hanging in there, really. After I added all the amount of sleep last night up, I think we got 12 minutes after it was all said and done. So pretty
You
good
get a lot of
night.
sleep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh
As
yeah.
everybody knows, guys, you're chiming in there. 25K Crop Connection, your hashtag. We'll get the party started. I see Dustin, Floyd, John, Tom, Robbie Webb. Y'all guys keep cranking them out there. Jeffrey, Floyd, y'all keep cranking them out there. Got some good stuff to talk about tonight. You probably won't see
Yes,
us
sir.
all, short sleeves and everything else. I probably won't be in a short sleeve tomorrow. I don't imagine I'll
I
be.
Hey, I will have my Norfin suit out tomorrow. That's how cold it's going to be here tomorrow. We got a chance of 33, 32 degrees in the morning, and I've got a long day ahead of me on the water, so I'll be suited up for the morning boat ride for sure.
That's right. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. This big cold front coming in. It's going to be the first major cold front of the fall of this year, and some of the things that I anticipate, some of the things that Dustin and we even talked about before the show that we're going to have to change up to keep trying to catch fish and keep the bite going. To say today's bite going,
For
but
sure.
appreciate everybody joining in every week. It's going to be a fun show tonight. We're here every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And please, if this is your first time on today's bite, chime in, let us know where you're from. Welcome to the Brotherhood here on today's bite. It's brought to you by Bobby Garland Bates. Special shout out to all those good folks up there in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
Keeping
Um,
us kicking.
keeping us kicking, keeping us some great baits on the line. We're going to talk about some bait selection when this water cools down and why I'm adjusting to the bait profiles and things that I plan on doing right now. And some of the little extra things that I plan on doing with this cold front. But
Little wintertime tidbits.
well, wintertime, October tidbits,
Oh, there we go.
pre-Halloween tidbits.
There we
How
go.
do you phrase it?
Got you.
You can go multiple ways with this subject.
Even the crappie are going to be spooked for Halloween.
Shane Jones, Eric, Mr. Reggie Hillman, Greg, Jeff, Charles Henderson.
Bars
Man, you
and
guys are chiming in there. I appreciate it.
oh yeah.
Hit that thumbs up. We're at 46 combined thumbs up likes already. So if you hadn't hit that, make sure you do that as well. Some great news I want to announce. Last week, a lot of you guys might know that Hunter was in a competition here in
I
Brandon,
seen that.
Mississippi,
Oh yeah. Shout out to Hunter.
and he pulled out the Crappie Connection song that he wrote many days ago. I don't know how many, I guess 8 or 9 years ago, Oxbow, and doing a little harmonica addition to it. It sounded great. Personally, that was my favorite song of the night. And he come out and he
You were a
won the
little
show.
biased though. I
He
feel like
won
you
it.
were just being a little biased.
Yeah, I mean I totally agree. It's a good thing I wasn't a
Yeah.
judge there, but he rocked out, man. I live streamed some of it on my Facebook page, and he did a really
It
good job
sounded
and
great.
come up. Yep, and wanted to redo the oxbow with that harmonica, man. That's the first time I ever heard him do it with a harmonica involved into it, and it was just awesome.
That's pretty cool. Now he's got more work cut out for him.
Yep. See, that's that new fatherhood there, y'all. I see Dustin doing.
Yeah, I've got it going. Brandon Thomas says he's going to get frostbite in the morning. That is right. I told you I'm going to have everything suited up for the morning, and then by about probably 11 or 12, it'll all come off. That's that time of year where you're all bundled in the morning, and then you take it all off by the midday.
Absolutely. Brad Akers, he's from Alabama. You guys keep chiming in there. Let us know where you guys are from. It's always really cool to see what parts of the country are watching tonight. And, if you got questions about how to kind of adjust to this cold conditions, feel free to chime in and ask them. We've got a lot of good fishermen watching and commenting on here every week.
Speaking
There's too
of a
many to
good
name.
Speaking of a good fisherman, Ken Robertson's in the house this afternoon. What's going on, Pops?
See, I told you, there's just a lot of good fishermen on here that I can promise you,
Oh
one of
yeah,
these guys that they will scoot in here and give us a good answer on all of it.
for sure.
Another thing that I did for the first time, and it was on my bucket list ever since I ever thought about fishing, really. Last week I went to Pickwick Lake and we fished below Wilson Dam up in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, with a buddy of mine, Brad Whitehead. He's been on the Crappie Connection podcast as well. Went up there last Thursday night, spent the night. We went out smallmouth bass fishing Friday, and I can tell you, I wish we had smallmouth around here because it was an absolute blast catching smallmouth. Caught, couple that were one that was probably touching a little over 5, other one that was touching right at 5, and several more in that 2 to 3.5 pound range. And
That's epic.
man, they're like a monster on steroids when you hook them and try to bring them in. It was an absolute blast. So special thanks to Brad Whitehead for inviting me up there. Clay Blair, another buddy of ours, that's a guide up North Mississippi, went out with us. I did some recording. I did a podcast as well while I was there. So I did a podcast and also shot some on the water video of it. You will see some 5-pound smallmouths in this video that's coming out that are jumping 6 to 7, 8, maybe even 8 foot out of there. They were unbelievably how high they would jump out of the water, and just an amazing experience. That, especially if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn them notifications on, because you want to see this thing coming.
Jordan Sanders said he's from the GOAT. He texts us, "Hey there, handsomes. Hey, are you the GOAT or you're from the GOAT?" Because I mean, question, you could be the GOAT, but I think he said he's the second best guide in Texas. The first one's Jerry Hancock.
There you go.
Yeah, Jordan Sanders, he guides on Lake Fork as well. Does really well. Looks like he's been pounding the crappie actually. So one of these days we got to get Jordan on this show with us.
I
That's what
like
we need to do. He stays busy ripping some lifts. So one of these days you're gonna hop on here with us, Jordan, for sure.
I like it. I see a lot of good guys. Like I said, we got some good stuff coming. Questions, shoot them out there. We got to go here. Like I said, Jordan Sanders, he's in the wings right there, ready to answer some questions with us as well.
Wesley
Miller.
Good evening. Crappie bite in Louisiana. Fisher in the fall pattern. He said it's great in North Louisiana. Wesley, it's always great where you're at, buddy.
Well, we'll kind of kick off with today's bite. I see some reports coming out from them right now. Dustash, I'll let you lead out with your today's bite fish report.
All right. Yeah. I told you I was going to go with Bobby Garland Baits. We were running out there and did some fishing on a Kansas lake and put the absolute whooping on the fish. They were super aggressive. Me and Skyler went out. He brought all the new colors from the new lineup for the live roamers and the itty bit mayflies, and we absolutely whooped them. I caught several fish. I just told Brad before we got on here. I think I caught 2 or 3 fish on every color they had. And I want to say, shoot, I don't know how many colors there is. So I guess that's for us to find out. But every one of them, we went through every bait. The fish were extremely aggressive, and Brad just shared the video, actually, me catching one on this hook right here with no bait. So this is a killer combination right here. But that's your critter, and that's got the head turner hook on it. And we were catching fish. We were catching fish without the bait, believe it or not. Now it makes sense though, because when you drop that in the water and you see it fluttering, it looks like a tiny little school of shad. So man, I dropped it on a few really good fish, caught some dandies on it, and even got one on video just dropping it with no bait. So the fish were really active and knocking the rod out of your hands. And they were roaming all from 4 or 5 foot deep to 10 to 15 foot deep, kind of anywhere in the channel. And we were wrecking them. I mean, it's always a blast when the fishing is that good. You know, you have those mornings. We did everything we needed in just a couple hours, and we're ready to rock and roll. I kept me a good mess of fish for dinner and threw back the rest of them. So caught a couple probably in the 180 to 190 range, couple real dandies, but just a lot of good eaters. And even weaved through a lot of fish. Like the screen was full of crappie the whole whole entire time we were there. So it was just a perfect scenario. Water temp was 68 to 72, right in that range. So it's starting to get chilly. I was throwing fish back and one splashed the water up on my feet, and I said, "That is 68 degrees is way colder than I pictured it being." I wouldn't want to jump in that water. So it definitely starting to chilly up. The fall pattern is full swing in that lake for sure. Um, Grand Lake, however, is still just tough as boot leather. I mean, you can still find the fish. It's just getting them to bite is not easy. But I'm learning the deeper bite is the better bite right now. So the deeper you get, the better chance you have of catching more active fish. But I also dipped in a little something crazy too. Did some catfishing. We had a big corporate trip.
Ooh.
Yeah, a big corporate trip. We took 20 guys out, 5 boats for 3 days. So we were kind of
Mm.
just. I had 5 people in my boat because we lost a boat to help, and it was a full house. So I thought, heck, we'll just drift fish for catfish, and we did really well. Ken hooked me up with the power catfish rods, and I used the drifters, the, those new rods, and man, they worked great. That was a cool little experience. I love learning new things, and I actually went with I brought a guide in from, I would say he probably guides Keystone Lake mainly, but I brought him in to help, and he's the catfish master. His name's Dominic, and man, he taught me a lot this week, and it's really cool. I'm kind of getting my hand in it a little bit. It was awesome. You can only imagine what I use for bait, crappie.
Oh
So,
no.
yeah, yeah, it was awful. I said, "You guys turn your head because this
Yeah.
makes me sick using these crappie sides." But no, it was great, man. That's a cool. It's always cool to learn something different, and doing something different on the boat felt really crazy too. So it reminded me of a very slower version of pulling for crappie.
Hmm. Hmm.
The speed you go and everything, there is a science to all of that too, drift fishing
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff. So that was pretty cool.
absolutely. For me, my today's biting. I'm gonna say the last 2 days, and I think it's going to change up. And we're going to talk about this cold front. I already
Oh
see
yeah.
Floyd from YouTube asking how much is this going to affect the bite um, compared to a summer cold front. But you know, I caught fish today anywhere from 8 foot of water all the way out to 20 foot of water. One of the things that I noticed that was in that shallower range for me, and I'm talking that 8 to I'm gonna say 12 foot, was either the fish were tight to structure or they were right off bottom. And as soon as I went out from that 12 to 18 foot of water, fish were suspended. Mainly, they were suspended from about 11 foot deep to about 14 foot deep. Um, One of the things that we really had to do today is you had to put the bait on their nose and let it sit there and almost marinate. I see my casting bite going away over the last couple of days. I pulled out the 16-foot black diamond and started using it
Uh-oh.
and setting
Uh-oh.
it on their nose. And the biggest key for me is having that bait really close to them, have it sit there until they recognize it. And the thing is, if you don't let them recognize it and you move it up, you just moving it up. But if you let it sit there and let this fish recognize it, and what I mean by that is you'll see the fish, and I'm talking mainly live scope right now when I'm talking about this technique that I've been doing. Um, you'll see the fish kind of flutter, and it's kind of like, "Oop, there's something. I'm gonna go ahead and attack it." And
Yeah.
as soon as they kind of do that flutter motion, that's when I slowly pull it up, and that's when they usually just come up. And it's not a hard bite, and
Slow
it's
motion.
almost like they
Yeah.
just come up, suck it up, and then you've got to hook them. And that kind of leads me into the bait profile and bait of the choice. And a lot of guys are new to crappie fishing. You look at all the different profiles, and if you just look at all the profiles that Bobby Garland's got,
Man.
every one of the profiles have a particular technique that it's going to really shine at. And we're going to talk about the OG from BG.
I
Um,
like it.
you, you like that? That was a pretty good one. But
BS.
from BC,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that's right. But I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna talk about the original Bobby Garland baby shad and what makes this bait so special during a cold front, during when these fish aren't really all that aggressive yet, And I see things changing up as we get further into the fall with the bite. But this first major cold front, I think we're going to have to slow down. Or even what I've noticed from today is you're going to slow down your presentation. You're going to have to keep it in the strike zone longer, and you're going to have a lot more patience on when they commit to the bite or not. But you look about at this bait here, the OG there from BG because of BC. But it's the
because of BC. I get what you're saying now.
yeah.
Oh man.
But that's the original baby shad. And this tail here, even as I'm sitting there
Is
holding it.
that bleeding shad too? Is that bleeding shad
No,
color?
this is chartreuse red glitter. I can't tell the
Okay.
chartreuse maybe on the camera, but
yeah, I can see it.
But that tail is just gonna sit there and vibrate while it's sitting in front of this fish's face. It's not a really aggressive motion. It's a real subtle motion. But we talk about different things that makes this bait special. But it's just that nonstop of that tail just sitting there humming around. And I'm gonna leave it to Dustin to tell me another really good thing about the BG OG baby shad. See if you can
why
name what I'm thinking.
Well, I was putting together that we both held up a bait today that had a lot of glitter in it. So you may take that for a key on some wintertime fish as well. That's something I would throw out there, just in case you was wondering. I love some glitter on sunny, cold days. Glitter just seems to make a big difference.
Yep.
But other than that, Brad, I mean, you kind of putting me on the spot there. I mean, I can't read your mind.
Maybe I should have told you beforehand.
Yeah, you should have hit me up with that one before.
But you think about a soft plastic bait, and Bobby Garland is known to have really soft plastic bait.
Oh, yeah.
As this water gets colder, a softer plastic will have more action to the tail.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's a real key in the wintertime months is having these baby shads on there just because that plastic does not harden up to the point that it doesn't give it action to the bait.
Mm-hmm.
When we're having to present these baits and just stick it in their face, let it sit there and marinate until they recognize it. Mm-hmm. That little subtle tail movement can make the difference between 5 fish and 50 fish.
Yeah, that's a good thing about that bait as well. You can almost dead stick that fish, even when they're coming up and looking at it when it's real cold, starting to get into the colder weather. Because that bait sits there and shimmers. You can't hold that bait still if you possibly tried. Like if you hold it in the water and watch it, it's still just sitting there moving. And you can catch fish just holding that thing dead still in front of them too. That's something I'll do a lot when it gets colder. Bless you.
Goodness. It's my false sinuses. Pat Robbins, he said he's 8 minutes late. Pat, we won't deduct this from your pay.
That's your first write-up right there. If we're going to write you up.
Yeah, this is a verbal warning there,
That's
Mr.
a verbal warning. That's what it is. Verbal warning, buddy.
You've been notified.
Yep.
7 o'clock every week, man. We can't do with tardiness. I'm just kidding. But Brandon Thomas, he's got a Lake Hudson report.
Oh, here we go. Let's see it, Brandon.
He's got it out. Lake Hudson today, water temperature was 68 degrees. Fish holding tight to the bottom around structure. And a rocky, hard bottoms in 16 foot of water. Saline Creek area of the lake.
No, we even gave the area. Thanks, Brandon.
It.
Don't mind my boat over there in the morning. Travis Goodwin said his latest trip, the fish would react to the bait from 2 to 3 foot away in some pretty stained water, and they wanted a bigger bait. Used a 1/4 ounce jig head with a 2.5 inch bait. Travis Goodwin, that's a good fish report there. I actually just told Brad the first time I've seen the fish wanting a little bigger bait. I've noticed that as well on this last trip I was talking about it. The shad inside their stomachs were just huge too when I cleaned them, so it makes sense. But the slab hunter was a great selection for that. When the fish get a little bit more aggressive in that colder water, what bait was I just talking about?
The swimmer.
Okay. Nope, wasn't the swimmer. It was the slab hunter. The full size slab hunter. That's what I love. The itty bit. I use it a ton during the summer, but this time of year I'm starting to move into the full size slab hunter, and that is a good bait to use as well.
Another thing I see about the fall that'll happen. You know, we've got this drastic cold front coming in, and our water temperature today, let me think back, started out around 72 degrees. I think it started at 70 and moved up to 72, 73 by the time I left. But I really anticipate this water dropping down another 5 to 7 degrees below that. So I'm thinking around 63, 65, probably by the end of the week. So dropping water temperature for me means slowing down, more subtle presentations. But kind of what's going to happen after that, or at least I hope so, is these fish will turn more aggressive as they get acclimated to this water temperature. So in another week, you know, I might be talking about pulling strollers a mile and a half an hour behind the boat and covering a lot of water.
Yeah.
But I think this first major cold front, this water dropping down in 5 to 7 degrees, maybe even further. I don't know. So I think it's going to slow down the presentation. But as they get acclimated to it, your presentations can change up, and you can move up in your bait selection and the retrieves that you're going to do, or the trolling styles that you can do. You can actually speed up in the fall and trigger a lot of bites. So it's kind of the fall, and it's similar to the spring in my mind, because things can change. You know, dropping water temperature.
Oh yeah, in the drop of a hat, they can change. They can change in an hour. Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. If the sun comes up and it warms things up in just a little while, things can switch as well. It looked like it'll be under Kathy Crawford, but it's Richard Crawford. He asked something about his lithiums charging him. I just lost the question there, but
Let me see if I can find him.
Natural State Fishing, Eric. That bait is a chartreuse red silver, right, Brad? That what you were holding up?
Chartreuse red glitter.
Red glitter, chartreuse red glitter, baby shad. That's what that is.
Yep. This has been a fundamental color for me for a long time, and they make it also that color in the mayfly as well.
Oh yeah.
So it's just a really good color that, at least on the reservoir, that works for me a lot. Got Dalco. He fished. I know there was an MCC tournament this past weekend up there in Lake Chico. He said was on fire Friday and Saturday until about 10:30 each day, and the fish would get super finicky, and majority would go to the bottom and disappear. Love it.
Welcome to crappie fishing.
Absolutely. Oh, Greg, I think they might still have some of the head turners at Fish USA. Now, they did last time I looked on that website, they did have some of those head turners. And somebody else posted what was that bait shop that had some a week or two ago, Dustin, that we talked about on here?
Oh, I know. Hang on a minute. Oh, Bud's Bait, Joplin, Missouri. I bet you is what we're talking about. They usually have everything Bobby Garland. They even have the split tail salt and pepper pearl, one of my favorite baits there. They have all kinds of colors, even I think an exclusive color that they carry. So they're definitely worth checking out. They've got a big warehouse and a bait shop for everything. Anything crappie world, it's in there. I guarantee you. It's a pretty big, good looking area to go get all you need for the crappie fishing.
Somebody said they had them there, I guess 2 or 3 weeks ago on the show. So
They've got all kinds of rods, all kinds of bait, all kinds of line, all kinds of everything. Like I said, spoon billing, catfishing, crappie fishing, bass fishing, they got it. It's a pretty cool place.
Pat Robbins, he didn't tell us where, Pat. We'll forgive you. But he said, caught some good fish today. Didn't catch the 30 pack, but had 18 good ones. 18 good ones, overbrush tops, 12 to 17 foot of water, straight minnows with a 1/8 ounce weight.
Dang. Putting it after him.
Jonah, he is late as well. He's 11 minutes late commenting. Jonah, now we're giving out these verbals for you guys late this week.
Now, and you can always get your first offense back by sending us something. So that's also in the air. I forgot to tell you guys that. That's my bad. I didn't even think about that. Oh boy.
Mike Henderson, he said, do you use a leader or can I tie directly to my braid?
I
Mike?
tie directly to it. I rarely use a leader with braid.
Me too. I very rarely use a leader. It'd have to be a very, very clear water
Yeah,
situation,
yeah, tough bite.
and tough bite, small baits. I would probably use a leader at that point, but day in and day out, I don't waste my time with a leader, to
Yeah.
be honest.
And yeah, honestly, when it's that tough too, I'll have another rod just tied up with like straight mono or fluoro as well. I kind of just do straight regardless. I get so tired of doing the leaders. It's just extra time if it breaks off or you get too close to it. So I try to just run straight. But someone just answered Richard Crawford's question. He said, yes, a two bank charger that works with lithium. Hook up one bank to each battery. Yeah, I charge all my lithiums with one charger as well. I believe that was the question.
I hadn't got to it yet. I'm trying to make sure I get all these
Well,
fish
I
points.
got you. I got you. I just hit him with the answer there, though.
Okay,
Thanks,
good.
Travis. Good one.
See, it's all about teamwork here, guys. I think
Exactly.
that's
It's
awesome.
always handy when someone will
It
help
helps
on
us out. I mean, to
it.
get so many comments, I get lost and behind the
Yeah, for
things.
sure.
Tony from YouTube, he said, caught 40 today on Lake Oconee, Georgia.
Oh,
Used cage
Coney?
maybe,
Oh,
in
Coney.
trees and 10 to 15 foot of water. Even caught a few on the head turner. Maybe it was the
Uh-oh.
banana in the boat that helped me out today. Tony. If you only caught 40 today and you had a banana in the boat, imagine how many you would have caught.
Oh, I could not imagine. I mean, you're talking 85 plus fish you'd have boated
At
today.
least 85. So, just imagine if you didn't have that banana, what you could have done.
Exactly.
But if you're watching at home, do not put a banana in your boat.
Now I'm ahead of you just a little bit, but Tracy Humber, he said he's been crappie fishing forever, and he went to Lake Tuscaloosa Thursday and Friday, and has never seen so many crappie, 14 to 25 foot deep brush pile tops. Ooh wee! Look at everybody headed to Tuscaloosa.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a blast to me. Oh,
Yeah.
Carlos Willis is in the house. Now that's another crappie fishing stud. He said you had
Yep.
to hold it on him perfect on Grenada this morning. I bet, man, that cold weather's getting those big old girls all junked up. I guarantee it.
They'll straighten out. And
They will
Carlos,
straighten out.
he knows as well, they'll straighten out. Let them get a little acclimated to this water, and they'll about come 6, 7 feet to come chase down a bait here
Yeah,
shortly.
that fun summertime bite is over, Carlos. Now the tournament's going to come in there, and then poor fish for the next 5 months are going to have lockjaw.
James Lynch about longlining, and if so, what speed jigs or cranks? For me, my favorite speed to start at is going to be 1.2. Now, some days we might have to slow down, and there's going to be days that you're going to need to speed up. But day in and day out, I'm going to pick 1.2 to go with. And I don't know what happened to Dustin. I'm sure he'll chime back on here in a second, so we'll see. There he is. He's chiming back in. But like I said, 1.2 is going to be my starting grounds no matter what time of year. It might have to go slower, might have to go faster. What?
Pickaboo. I
What?
don't know. I don't know what happened, man. I just disappeared. I turned to talk, and yeah, I was gone.
I'm trying to catch up, guys. Let's see. Keep on coming.
Man, yeah, keep them coming, guys. We appreciate it, and eventually Brad will catch up to all of them. Austin says, "Do you guys chase crappie in shallow in the fall like bass people do? What is their tendency of coming off summer piles versus the fall? Depending on which lake, Austin, but for sure we do chase crappie shallow like that. There's some lakes 5 to 10 foot you can really crack them in the fall. It just depends on kind of what lake. You can kind of find them a little bit everywhere. I would say start focusing towards the channel is what I would start doing, and then sometimes shallow flats will be like warming up certain times of the winter. And it's like when it starts warming up, you can roll up on those flats and catch them shallow. So it just depends. I would love to say, yeah, you can, but it just depends on where you're at. Shallow, deep, clear, or muddy water.
Kind of, in my opinion, on that subject line is you can find them shallow. I don't think as shallow typically as you can in the
Summer
springtime.
or spring, summer or spring.
Eric, maybe we said it, but that color is chartreuse red glitter. Another thing that I want to tell you guys about, and a trick to throw in your tackle box, and you get out here the next couple of days as this water is really starting to plummet and drop and make these fish really lethargic, and it's these very tiny little
Ooh,
rattlers.
rattlers.
They're little rattlers. I don't think I have. Probably have a bag somewhere in my crappie fishing
Last
box.
year I dug into those slab ticklers for that too.
Right. Yep. But I think right now, next couple of days I will have some of these. I know I got some on the boat already, but all you gotta do is put them inside the body of the bait, and you just stick it on in there, and that just adds a little bit something else to these baits when these fish are lethargic, to kind of get their attention whenever that bait's sitting there. A lot of times for me, as that bait's sitting there, I really don't want to move it aggressively, but I'll take my finger and just
Oh
tap the
yeah.
pole as I'm holding there, just to kind of draw their attention to it. And really, I like doing that year round, but especially on these lethargic bites, that I'm gonna try to really stick it in there and tap it.
Stephen Sullivan is in the house. He said this is about to be a great time to learn to live scope. Water cooling off and the fish are already slowing down. Big baits you can see and hold it above them for a long time. Amen
Yep.
to that. That's pretty good. I also, like he's saying, the fish are going to be holding still a lot better, and just everything's got to be a lot slower motion, so you can learn. You can learn pretty good this time of year. That's a good point.
Alton Edwards, he's got a good question from Facebook. And
I think I
I don't
read
think
that
you
one already.
did you read the question?
The shallow fish.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We
Sorry
we
about
already
that.
hit that one. Yeah, we hit that one. James Lynch,
Wait,
jigs or crankbaits? I would tell you Brad's answer is going to be jigs. If you're pulling, Brad, which one's jigs or crankbaits?
oh, jigs, 100%.
All right, there we go.
Jerry, particular brand of lithium batteries. I got a great buddy of mine, Michael Sylvester, that makes a lithium battery anywhere from 12 volt, 36 volt, golf cart, Ranger RTV. One of the best guys you'll ever meet in your life. Mad Scientist Lithium Batteries. You can see him on my Facebook page. Also, I will give you his number out, but and I'll key it in here in a minute, or somebody can. I know a lot of guys on here using his batteries as
Yeah.
well can chime in here, but check out Mad Scientist Lithium Batteries. You won't regret it. Have them in my boat, use them daily.
And I got a good one for you, Brad. Pat Mickatrick.
Uh-huh.
Pat Mickatrick. He says, "Don't forget the nibbles." But I was wondering how to pronounce his last name. McKittrick. McKittrick. I'm going with McKittrick. But yeah, nibbles is another killer thing in the wintertime for sure. We talked about that a little bit last year, but it's gonna be in my boat for cold weather. Like Brad was saying, when you're sitting there and that bait's marinating, legit it's marinating when you have that nibble on there, and that stuff is just falling over that crappie's nose, and it can't stand it. It'll turn up there and eat it with a nibble on it. For sure.
Tracy asked me something about the Browns last week. If I lived closer, I would have me a bait tank out there casting the net with you guys. I can promise you that.
It'd be fun.
Big brownies, I agree. And equals fun.
Yeah, you would be using live bait then, wouldn't you?
Hey,
Whatever gets them in the boat,
that's a whole different other animal I've never even seen before. Charles Henderson, I got a good question, Mr. Charles. He said, when crappie are on standing timber, do they mostly face the timber or away from the timber?
Ooh, I'd say towards the timber. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be nosed right up to it. I've
I
seen
say
them faced away, but it's very rarely.
mainly what I see is facing the timber.
Yeah.
I'm not a big standing timber person, but I'm gonna say on like the big one we caught today, he was on a stump and he was facing the stump. And as you get, better at reading that, you'll start determining, all right, I see that fish facing that direction. Um, but I would say more than likely, if you can't tell, I would try to take it towards the timber.
Yes, exactly, for sure. Yep. Sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes I'll drop on a fish on timber, and I mean, I cannot understand why that thing won't move, and then I realize he's facing away. I just get so used to all of them facing the timber. Sometimes they'll be turned away, so don't always count it out. But yeah, Dustin Shields has a good point. Them catfish face the timber too. I've caught big old blue cats facing just like a crappie, sitting on timber, just looking at the dang log like it's fun or something. And I'm like, oh, here's a big one, and it's a blue cat. But you are right, Dustin. They will face the dang log just like a crappie, and they thump like a crappie too.
Well,
They just thump the crap out of it. But if you don't drop pink, huh, Brad? You want to
well,
have
yeah,
that thing.
anti-pink, no pink here for me. No
Oh
pink on
man.
the res.
Yeah, yeah.
No places, whatever works. Mr. Kenny said, would the channels between the res be a good thing to fish? Well, Mr. Ken, the channel markers and the channels itself at the res, some of them are actually the channel, and then you got channel markers that are just navigational channels. So, but in the fall in general, the channel or the river channel that's going through the lake is a good area to fish. So, in really all times of the year, it's just kind of like a channel in a big body of water. And to me, in my mind, is like one of your main arteries in your body. It's going to carry everything through the system. Everything kind of flows up and down that
The
artery,
highway.
that
Yeah.
channel, to say. Yeah, highway. Yeah.
We should have named them the highway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fish highway.
Nathan Wood. Hey, guys. Can black crappie carry eggs year round?
I
What I've been told from biologists
yeah.
is a lot of times when you're seeing eggs in them, either, and some of the ones that I cleaned last week, that look like just residue eggs from the summer or the spring that had just been left over. I haven't seen any of them starting producing next year eggs quite yet. But if you ask a biologist, they're going to tell you that crappie under ideal conditions will spawn no matter what time of the year. Typically in the wild, that I've never seen them actually spawn in the fall. You'll start seeing them start making their egg sacs, I guess, more or less sometime, seems like around December, kind of on the later side of the fall feeding period, if I say. They'll start putting on their egg sacs.
Yeah. Gotcha. Bill Lowley Jr. He said, y'all got me checking to see how far these lakes are from me. You know how many times I've got off this live and looked up some of the lakes people mentioned? I'm like, I wonder if they caught 40, 50 fish, man, where the heck's that lake? How's it doing? I've looked up a lot of them lakes too. I catch myself doing that. So it's always cool hearing all the new lakes. It feels like every time on this show, out of all the Tuesdays, I hear a new lake name that I've never fished or heard of before.
You usually can't pronounce it.
Like Tuscaloosa, I don't think I've ever heard of or knew that was a lake, but I bet it's a good one.
We're at 176 likes, guys. So if you hadn't hit that thumbs button or the like button, hit it for me now. Let's see if we can pop that 200. I know you guys do it. There's 221 people watching between the two platforms right now. So I know you guys can do that for me.
We know you guys are in there.
Crappie hunter, I agree with him 100%. Thank God winter's coming. No pontoons or jet skis.
Oh, yeah, party boaters.
A few on the lake, though. I've seen some of them last couple days still.
Same. This I had a trip Saturday, and it was full to the brim again, Friday and Saturday. So definitely.
Let me see where you're at. I want to make sure I'm trying to catch up.
Yeah. I'm hearing about Tuscaloosa now. They say it's a Clearwater lake. All right, that's why they're on all the brush piles, it sounds like to me, I bet. I wonder if Tuscaloosa's got black crappie.
David, YouTube, he says, looking for a 0 degree mount. Which one are you guys using? David, I had just ordered the new 0 degree mount from Cornfield Fishing Gear. I looked at it. It looks phenomenal. I've been running just an Amazon cheap one, but the more I've looked at this Cornfield Fishing one, I think I'm going to actually go with it. It seems that you can line it up a little bit better, and it looks very stout. So take a look at the Cornfield Fishing Gear, and also they're a proud sponsor of the Crappie Connection. So
there we go. Natural State Fishing, he said he's cleaned a lot of black crappie with small eggs developing over the past 2 weeks. A couple of people saying that, so they're starting to develop a little bit. It
black
seems like they
crappie
will.
yeah.
They will start to develop a little bit now, and then by the time
Mm-hmm.
February comes around, they're just blown plumb up with them. So it definitely starts now, I'd imagine.
James, he's asking, is there a certain water temp when a lake will turn over, and does a lake turn over every year? I can't tell you the water temperature as far as the exact one.
We're getting into some science stuff here.
To me, and we talked about this even up there for Grand Lake, and I haven't noticed a big thermocline on Ross Barnett this year. Upriver, I saw one back in the heat of the summer, and I'm talking July and August. I saw one upriver, but our main lake, I never did really notice a pronounced thermocline. I don't think there's as much as a turnover if you don't have a big thermocline in a lake. I'm no water scientist, so I can't tell you for certain. So it kind of depends if your lake had a thermocline in it or not, and how much it would affect that lake on the turnover part of it. Usually a good way to tell any kind of turnover and thermocline and things like that is by dead baby catfish or small catfish.
Yeah.
You'll see those floating a lot.
Yeah. Marty Southern, braid or mono on y'all's dead stick? So I imagine long poling. Yep. Believe it or not, I'm going to use 9 times out of 10 fluorocarbon. So neither one of those. I'd be using fluorocarbon more than likely.
I'm a fluorocarbon 12 pound.
12 pound.
K9 is what I've been using. It's absolutely just been phenomenal. The downside that I've heard guys experience, and where I would kind of be cautious with fluorocarbon, was when it gets extremely cold and the water's in that below 40 degrees, ice can form inside the line itself.
Wow.
Because it's porous. And so ice can form inside the line and cause it to snap. So under 40 degree water temperature, I would go back to a mono once you're getting in those cold water temperatures. And, for me, 65 is cold, but I'm really talking about that 40 and below. You got to watch it.
And that's some cold water.
That's some cold water.
Nick Saban may still have a lake house on Tuscaloosa. You know what? I'll text him tonight, and maybe I'll go out there and fish with him a little bit.
Well, I think he's still busy during football season.
Well, he may actually be watching our live. You know what, Nick? Get a hold of me. Get a hold of me, Nick. We'll just get things figured out, buddy.
You'll travel?
Yeah. Yep. He said he'd fly me out there, so that'd be fun.
It could happen. You never know.
You don't never know.
I'm trying to catch up.
Oh, you're good. Fish obsessed mount is what I run. Comes with a stack of plates so you can mount it further away from your shaft to get around the head of the trolling motor. Lee Dackel Turner. I actually have heard about fish obsessed mount as well. I know a lot of people use those for the 0 degree as well.
WP on YouTube, bluegill keep biting the tails off the itty bits while long lining, catching more bluegills than crappie long lining in Louisiana. Wow, that sounds like a really good bluegill lake, I would say.
Yeah, it does.
I typically don't use itty bits. The bait that I'm going to use whenever I'm a long line troll is going to be the stroller. It's a little bit bigger profile bait. And that might actually help you some when it comes to those bluegills. And I would probably shy away from the darker tone colors like bluegill fire, for example, meteor shower. The list goes on and on. But I would stick to more of a brighter colors like horsefly, which is orange, and whites, just to see if they were actually a problem. I would stay away from bait colors that I thought would attract bluegills
Yeah,
and
fair
go up
enough.
in size.
That's good little tidbits right there. Travis Goodwin, planning on fishing some through the winter months. Any good tips for the boat?
Oh
Travis,
yeah.
if you're like me, buddy, you just let it eat. Act like it's a good summer day. Start it, let it purr for a while though. Sometimes it'll get to coughing on you when it's real cold. So just let it warm up while you're putting the boat up. I let my motor just keep running, let it warm up, and then just let her eat. Sometimes the pier on the boat will freeze up too. I've had that happen a few times, and that'll make you nervous too. So if your motor stops peeing, give it a minute because it'll break it.
Defrost.
Or if you got to go pee, you
Beyond,
just pee on it. Pee off the back of the boat on it.
we won't post that
Yeah, better
there.
not. I can't do a video with that one.
No, definitely not. Robert Mass on YouTube, he says, "Do you guys watch barometric?" I can't say it.
Barometric pressure.
That's it.
Yes.
When you
I
want to keep fishing.
you know what I watched that on that I'm a firm believer 100% true and true. It's worked for me a lot of times for a lot of big deer is barometric
Mm,
pressure. I look up barometric
did
pressure
he?
on a lot of the fronts. When that barometric pressure is rising from like 29 up to 31, you better go get in a tree stand. But if it's low 29 and it's kind of staying, you're wasting your time. But I definitely look the barometric pressure up on fronts. Like I bet it's really going good right now with this cold front moving in and things are going crazy. The deer cameras are going nuts, but I've never noticed on fish. I used to try to dig into it and pay attention, and I cannot get them scaled near as good as deer. So I'm not sure if that really makes a difference. I know Brad just says, you got to go fishing anyway, so you just go, but
Mm.
I'm not sure. I don't notice a difference. My grandpa was big onto the barometric pressure. He even had a reader out on his porch, and I'd never noticed a difference with it with the fishing. Deer activity,
You know,
yes, but
if I'm
fishing.
gonna pick any on this kind of like water temperature, I like steady. I like something stable.
The
Seems to me about crappie fishing. The more the stable, if it's high or low, I really don't care. I like it stable, not jumping around. Um, that's just I try not. And Dustin, he knew exactly what I was going to say.
oh
Um,
yeah,
I don't like putting that in my mind because I'm gonna go fishing regardless.
yeah. It gives kind
And
of a negative look at things if it's bad,
yeah,
and you don't want
and
to
I
do it.
think it can be a mindset thing in my
Yes,
mind. So I
100%.
try not to pay that much attention to it because hey, I'm gonna get out there and fish anyway.
But honestly, it's a good excuse. Sometimes, like fishing's tough. I'll try to use that as an excuse. Man, maybe it's that barometric pressure.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to figure something. But no, I definitely don't notice it on the fish as much. I think you get a lot of activity when it's like spiking or dropping real fast. But I don't know
Mhm.
about the fish. I think you're right on just wanting it all normal. Like a long. It's just like the weather changes. We like weather patterns to stay steady. I'm sure it's the same thing with barometric.
Travis, another good thing to have on your boat from in my mind when it comes into this wintertime fishing is hot hands.
Ooh,
And
yes, sir.
it's something you can throw in anywhere and pull them out at a moment's notice. But also another thing that I think that's real important to have with you, maybe not necessarily in your boat, not I couldn't anyway, is a change of clothes in your pickup truck
Yeah.
or
Yep.
SUV or whatever you might drive, Prius. I don't know, but whatever you have a change of clothes ready just in case you get wet while fishing.
Yeah. Good
So
point.
a change of clothes is another good tip that I think that is easily overlooked.
Yeah. One of the best also purchases I've made. I'm on an aluminum boat, so my toes would go completely numb when it's cold out there. And I got electric heating socks, and that was a
Mm,
game changer. So that's a good one too. If you ever look into those electric warming socks or something else for the feet, because you'll
mm.
be surprised when you're that close to the water how your toes will just go completely numb, freezing cold. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah, and
And
Mr.
you want to be able
Ken.
to run the trolling motor, so it's tough.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest weakness is I can't run a trolling motor with shoes on, Harley. It just
Boy,
takes
yeah,
away
that'd be
so much
terrible.
of the feel of it.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I will go just with socks while I'm running the trolling motor anyway. But
Oh yeah, Eric Watts has a very good point too. National State Fishing. He says, be sure to drain the water out of your trolling motor and lower unit when you get off the water. You don't want water freezing in the thing. So that's a good point. When I get out of the water, I do lower I tilt my motor all the way down and let all the water run out of it first. Ken Robertson also just turns his key over on his motor, and it just starts it for
it's
a second because it blows the water out. So boom,
mhm.
and then shuts it off. So it just blows all that it's out to drain out. So that's a good point too as well. I forget I do drain mine even at night when it's really cold. I'll lower my lower unit all the way down before it
Yep.
hits.
Yeah,
So
keep those good tips coming,
yeah,
guys.
that's a good tip.
Appreciate that, Eric. That's a very good
Forgot
tip,
all
Brandon.
about that one. That could
Um,
save somebody a headache.
yeah, catching baseball on YouTube. He said, I've been finding crappie on my live scope and catching a few, but I have a lot of followers come right up to the boat. Any tips to get them to bite? Let's see a
Man,
thumbs up.
yeah, if they're following like that, switching profile, maybe putting a nibble on, just trying all kinds of different things because there's something just not quite keying them to get it to bite. Sometimes just doing a different action with the bait or anything, but a lot of times if they follow it that far, they will eat it. You're just missing one cue thing, and it's just sometimes you once you find it and it clicks, then you really get them good.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a one solution
No,
to that question there. Um, Profile would be the first thing, colors, and then something's just not all the way kosher for those fish to commit.
yeah,
Um, Adding scent, adding a little rattle, adding something and keep playing around with it, and just putting your mind, I'm gonna keep throwing a kitchen
yeah,
sink at them
yeah,
until something
exactly.
fires off, and
Yeah.
it usually will.
Josh Ferrier, he says, what kind of boat do I fish out of and does it handle the wind? I got a Grizzly Tracker and it's a 2072. It's kind of a big old barge and it does not handle the wind very well. However, when you get used to using the boat, you can catch them just as good. I've proven that before many a times. It's not it takes like it parachutes the wind a little bit, but if you have brakes on the boat and you face the wind and you fish it right, you can fish just as good. The only thing I would say is it doesn't take big water good when you're boating like across. Like Brad, I went out there today in the res and he's like, "Yeah, we got about a 5 mile ride," and I'm like, "Oh Lord!" When we pulled out from that spot, that boat ramp,
You
I
jinxed
mean,
us.
do
You
what?
jinxed.
I
You
did jinx
jinxed.
this. Yeah,
You
I did.
jinxed.
I did, but it was white capping, and he gets to take off, and everybody's dry. I have to stay back and go 10, 15 mile per hour with my boat trimmed up high. You'll learn how to ride it, but you got to go real slow and easy through the big waves because it does not handle big water well like that. But fishing wise, I love it. It's got a huge deck on it, and I fish 3 to 5 guys up front, no problem on brush piles. It's real stable when you're walking on it. But as far as boat riding in big water, that's my only regret of that boat is I've had to cancel a lot of trips due to big wind for sure.
I see another thing Chad's mentioned it here as well is wear a life jacket, especially in
Oh
the winter.
yeah, for
It,
sure.
life jacket and the kill switch, which I really one of my pet peeves definitely is a kill switch on a boat while you're running it and yards
Yeah, I
running out.
better get better at that. Phew.
Dude, you better.
I know Brad gets serious with me when I talk about
You make me mad. Don't do
man.
that.
Hey, you only mess up once on that. I'll tell you. You got to wear that kill switch. Don't be
Yeah,
like me.
I've seen
Hey,
somebody get
make
out
me feel a little
of
bit better though, guys. Does everybody on here wear a kill switch every time they drive the boat? And I want everybody to be honest.
please tell him.
And I said,
Please.
be honest. Be honest, everybody. Mercy. Um, Kemp Southard. He said, Brad, there is an adjustment on the top and bottom of the Garmin foot pedal? Question mark.
Almost
Oh, maybe it's you're talking about
on the
going
top.
soft.
Oh, as far as the feel of it,
Yeah,
you know, it's still, I've tried every kind of little adjustment as far as I just cannot feel it as well. And it's a bad habit that really that
gosh,
I can't.
they're all putting me down. Everybody's saying that they're wearing their kill switch.
Yeah,
Oh, here we go. Nope, but I should. I plead the fifth on the quilt, the kill
Reggie,
switch.
Come on,
Reggie,
fellas.
Reggie says,
Put
I
the kill
plead the
switch on.
fifth.
Put the kill switch on every
And
single
then
time.
Robbie Webb says 98% of the time. I don't know where he got that number, but he said 98% of the time.
Tony, no. What do you?
That's funny.
That
Yeah,
these no.
yeah.
Tony Van Norman.
I told you, I'm telling you, I'm not the only one struggling out here with the safety first.
Y'all
But
got to do that.
we're gonna get better, guys. We're gonna get better at this. Okay, John
We're gonna
Breland.
have to
Just because your boat is slow does not mean you don't need to put your kill switch on, buddy. Gosh dang.
You gotta wear that kill switch every single
Yeah,
time.
for sure. You're really upsetting Brad here, guys. We're
Yeah.
really upsetting.
You got to do it. Kemp, he's never used it in things. My gosh.
Is that what he said? Hey, he probably grabs that red cord like, what is this thing anyway?
Let's take that off the boat.
You know what? I shouldn't ask that question. We're really disappointing Brad, guys.
Y'all really,
He's
to
gonna
be
go to bed
honest,
scared tomorrow.
uh, I saw a guy in a small boat get thrown out of a boat. He was using it was probably a 14-foot or 12-foot John boat, and seen him get slung out of a boat. And luckily enough, another boater that was closer to him got him out of the water before the boat drove over the top of him. So if he had his
It
kill
would be
switch on, he
terrible.
wouldn't have
It
happened.
really would. That's got to be something that I get in a better habit. I mean, you always have to in a tournament. I do them in a tournament every time because I got it connected to the life jacket, and that's I think what gets me is because I don't wear a life jacket most of the time, so it's not connected to me.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in it. Like you
Oh,
said.
I am too. I am too. But I'm a firm believer in you probably should wear a seatbelt in the vehicle, and I don't do that either. Do you, Brad?
Yeah.
Oh, now come on.
Dude, what is
Okay,
wrong with you,
I'm
Dustin?
just
You gotta
checking.
keep it down, man. What is wrong with you?
I was just checking. All right, all right. I ain't even gonna ask them if they wear seatbelts because I guarantee you it's a 50-50 on that too. Oh mercy. We got to get Brad off here, guys, before he just goes in
My
depression mode
blood
here.
pressure's getting up. Remember,
Okay.
check out the baby shed. I'm sure most of you guys have actually used the baby shed in the past. All the different colors are on lurenet.com.
And
Use
what's
your
that
discount
code?
code Crappie
Crappie
Connection
Connection 15.
15. Get you some money saved.
Yeah, that's honestly one of the better deals going for as long as we've had it. That's kind of a blessing. Y'all need to go to that lurenet.com and fill it up.
Yeah, I see Working Man. He's on here, and
All these
he might be the
violations.
man.
Yeah.
And he's notating all you guys not wearing your kill switch. Tony Van Norman. And I'm gonna call your wife Cheryl, and she will get you straightened out on this, Tony.
He's gonna figure this out, buddy.
We will get you guys fixed up. Eric, if everybody would wear a kill switch, I would get them made with the Crappie Connection.
Hey, there you go. That would be cool. That'd be cool. You know, one time, this is terrible, Brad. You're going to be real proud of me. I had a couple sitting beside me and I was boating, and the wife leaned over and said, "What's this red cord hanging off of the boat?" And I said, "This." I grabbed it and I said, I made it in a wristband. I said, "There's the kill switch. You're supposed to wear that every time you're boating." Oh man. Yeah, you'd have been proud.
Okay, Tony. I'm glad Cheryl's listening so she can get you straight up.
Good. She's probably giving him an earful right now. Lord have mercy.
Well, guys, it's been a great show. I'm trying to think if we've got a podcast coming out this week. I think we do. Have another podcast coming out with my buddy Chad Wright. He's on here all the time. I don't know if I've seen him tonight or not. Also, another guy named old Hayden Jeffries. He's on this podcast as well. We're talking about some of the fall time strategies that we do, casting and whatnot. It will be on the Crappie Connection on YouTube. Also, check out the video I just put out Sunday night on how I use side scan with my Garmin, finding brush piles and all that kind of good stuff. How I read side imaging. One morning when I went out, it was real foggy. Really didn't want to run on pads, so I decided, hey, I'm gonna just side scan. And so I had my GoPro, and I actually found some really good fishing spots. But I really go there and kind of explain to you guys how I utilize side scan. So if you hadn't checked out that video, please do so. Appreciate everybody for joining us every single week. It's been a blast. Cannot wait to see how everybody's today's bite fishing reports turn out for next Tuesday night. We will be here, same time, same place, same dust ash.
Lord willing.
Dust ash. I want a commitment from you this week.
I will wear my kill switch. Starting tomorrow morning, I will have it on. I will actually tag you in a picture with me.
I'll ask you next Tuesday night.
I know you will. Yeah, and I mean, Scott Bradshaw said someone was late to work one time because the boat was treading water around him. He was waiting for it to run out of gas. He said it's funny since he's still alive, but he just wait for the boat to run out of gas and then went in there and got it. Man, that'd be a heck of a story. No, he wasn't when he was in the water, I bet. Oh my, y'all take it easy and don't catch all of them. Leave some for us.
Guys, next week, Brad Chapel out.
Holla.